everyone, it is Vas back with another video, and I am very excited to film this video because I'm finally going to be able to go in depth in one of my favorite series. That series is, of course, the off-campus series by none other than Miss L. Kennedy. And if you guys have watched my other videos, you know how passionately I feel about her writing and how much I absolutely adore this series and how it got me into not only reading in general, but it got me back into reading, more consistently, and it introduced me to a new genre of books that I never thought I was gonna read, and that is sports romance, more specifically hockey romance. So, okay, starting off with The Deal. And this is actually the first book in the series. Now, this is called the Off-Campus series, and I absolutely adore this book. Like, it has such a special place in my heart. Okay, so Deal is all about Hannah and Garrett. And Garrett is the captain of the hockey team. Okay, he plays for Briar University, and he is like a once-in-a-lifetime generational talent. Okay, he is that good. And Hannah Wells is our female main character, and she is a phenomenal singer. Okay, she's a musical talent. Okay, you literally have a musical talent and then like a top athlete. The kicker here is that Garrett is actually very, very dedicated to his hockey career. Okay, he is actually really responsible when it comes to like drinking and like partying, but like he gets down. Okay, he has no shortage of women coming after him, and he just everybody loves him. Okay, he's the big man on campus. Now, he is actually someone who doesn't really do like relationships at all. He's like, I'm one track to hockey and girls relationships, even friends with benefits, like all those type of relationships, they have they cause distraction from his eye on the prize. Okay, so what happens when he gets back like a philosophy paper or their exam, and he flunks it? Like, he does terrible. He accidentally sees Hannah Wells's exam and she aces it. Okay, because she's not just a beautiful, person. She is also a talented singer and she has a brain. Okay, so she is smart. And he's like, oh my God, I need help. Can you please tutor me? And she's like, no, sorry. Like, I have my own stuff that I gotta deal with. I have to, deal with the showcase, and I need to practice. And he's like, well, what is this showcase? So she's like already annoyed with him at the beginning, because she's like, okay, how self-involved can you be, and how conceited are you that you only think that like sports is like the only, big thing at Briar U, when he goes like, the showcase is actually, a big deal. People come from, companies to offer them, jobs in the future, right? So this is like a huge deal for her. Also, she could get a scholarship to help pay for, expenses and stuff like that. And that's like a big bonus to her. Anyways, I digress. So Garrett is trying to strike this deal with her so that she can be his tutor. Okay, and eventually she does become his tutor. And the reason she becomes his tutor is because Garrett is actually very observant. Okay, he's extremely observant in like people, and like being able to read them, and just being able to read a situation very well. So he is able to realize that, oh, okay, Hannah, you have a crush on this other guy. Now, he's not gonna go for you, and I know he's not gonna go for you, but I can help you. Okay, we can make him jealous, and then he'll actually want to date you, and then you'll tutor me, and I'll get my A, and I won't get kicked off the team, or I won't have to miss any games, okay, because this is crucial. So eventually that's kind of like the deal that they strike up, and eventually they actually kind of like become friends too, right? Like, they become very cute with each other. They have a very cute like banter. She kind of has like a cute banter with like all of his like hockey buddies whom he lives with and who are his best friends. And you kind of get to see this interconnected like found family, and it's actually quite beautiful to read, especially for Garrett, where he does not have a good relationship with his father. His mother has passed away, so you know, knowing that he has these people in his life really, you know, it's very heartwarming, right? And then Hannah has a bit of trauma. I'm not going to go through that, but, you know, she's had some stuff happen to her in the past, which makes her an unusual college student. And I phrase it like that because she's kind of afraid to do like normal college stuff, you know, go to like parties, go to certain events, maybe like socialize with certain people. And but that kind of like gets explored later on. And she has an awesome best friend named Allie, and I absolutely adore their relationship. It's actually one of the best relationships in this entire series. So we get to a point in the book where Garrett and Hannah start having feelings for each other. And Garrett has never really had a girlfriend, so everyone's super surprised by this. But one thing about Garrett is that once he sets his eye on something, he is a one mind track, okay? He knows that that's what he wants. And he's super blunt about it too, okay? There's no filter when it comes to him. There's a lot of like serious moments in the story. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil that for you guys in case you haven't read the story, but that's just kind of like the lightheartedness that I absolutely love about the book and the relationship between the two. They do have some moments. There's also a few spicy moments here and there. So if you're interested in that, this is the book for you. Hannah and Garrett will always have a special place in my heart because they are the first couple from this series, and everybody else's stories kind of, you know, flourish because of that. But yeah, no, it's great. It's a fake dating, it's double POV, it's sports, it's college. There's, you know, spice, there's drama, there's laughing, there's tears. It kind of has it all. And the relationships, actually, like the friendships between Garrett and his best friends, are actually amazing. Like, I love being able to read a book about like romances and just really nice friendships between, you know, male characters. And it really does just show how close they are and that, you know, they are a found family. Okay. So I say all that to say because the second book is actually John Logan's book, who is Garrett's best friend. And honestly, one of my favorite characters out of the entire, you know, off-campus Briar U Campus Diaries series. Okay. Okay. The Mistake. That is book number 2 in this series. My only problem with this book. Okay, my only problem with this book is look at how tiny it is. Why? I don't know what was going through her mind when she thought, okay, John Logan didn't need a larger, like a longer book. But that is my only problem with this, okay? That's my only problem with this. Now, The Mistake. John Logan, Grace Ivers, okay? Those are the characters that we follow, okay? Okay, this book is slightly different from The Deal because The Deal takes place over like the semesters and such. This actually takes place at the end of like their school year, and then it goes into the summer, and then it goes into the following school year. Okay, so it's slightly different. And the reason why I say that is because Grace is actually, I believe, a freshman. So it starts off in April, and John Logan is finishing off his junior year, I believe. So his 3rd year of university. And then Grace is finishing her 1st year or her freshman year of university. And this one's really fun. Okay, I actually really enjoy both characters because, I don't know, they're a little bit different from everybody else that we've met. Okay, so basically what the premise of this story is that John Logan right now is going through it, okay? He believes that he has like this major crush on Hannah, okay? And he's feeling horrible about it because he's like, this is my best friend's girlfriend, okay? He's practically a brother to me, and I can't believe I'm having these feelings for her, and it's not okay. So he kind of goes on like this like binging, you know, partying spree, and really just trying to forget it all, right? Like anytime she's around, he tries to like not be there. He's really going through it. And so one day he actually is supposed to go to like a party or go to a dorm or something. And he gets like, he's so like not even wasted. He's just so like down for the party and not really caring where it is that he ends up in Grace Ivor's dorm. And he's like, oh shoot, I don't know how I got here. Like, I thought I remembered it like this, but my phone's dead. I can't even contact them. So she's like, okay, whatever, it's fine. Like, don't worry, like, charge your phone, contact them, like, get back to, like, do whatever, right? And meanwhile, she's watching Die Hard, which is actually one of my favorite movies. Like, Bruce Willis is forever John McClane in my eyes, okay, and heart. Anyways, so she's watching Die Hard. And he's like, okay, well, I'll watch it with you. Like, I've got nothing to do. Like, who cares? So he actually stays there and has a really fun time with her. And she's kind of like going back and forth, like, do I make a move? Like, he looks like he wants to kiss me. Should I kiss him? She's having this like internal monologue. And meanwhile, John just like goes ahead and kisses her. And she's like, wait, what's going on? He's like, well, you looked at me like you wanted me to kiss you, so I'm going to kiss you. Anyways, they fool around a little bit. One of the big things is that Grace is actually a virgin and she's been trying to get rid of her V card forever. But basically, that first night, what happened was, they just like had a kiss, like, or made out, whatever, nothing too crazy. But then he actually ends up liking her. So they end up kind of like doing more and more things. And then eventually he finds out that, she still has her V card. And he's like, oh, like, this is too much pressure. Her friend is a little bit of a snake. I'm not going to lie. She keeps very poor company around, her friend, that is. And kind of does something shady that, makes Grace kind of reevaluate her friendship with her. And, they've grown up together and she's just like, can't imagine this type of betrayal, okay? Anyways, so the summer comes around, like this is April. Everything happens in, I guess, whatever, a month, 2 months, whatever. The summer comes around. Grace's parents are actually divorced. Her dad lives not too far from the college campus, and her mom actually lives in France, okay? And her parents actually have a great relationship with each other, so she's able to kind of like decide, what she wants to do, if she wants to stay with her dad for the summer or go visit her mom. So she ends up going to go visit her mom. I don't remember if she goes for the entire summer or for just a month, but she goes there, tries to get over, everything that happened, in the last few months of school. John keeps, calling her and like keeps trying to apologize to her. And I'm going to keep the reason of what he said to her because when I first read that, that was an ouch to my heart. But he keeps trying to apologize. Her friend keeps trying to apologize. Her mom is like, maybe give them a chance, whatever. She's like, no, like, I don't know what's going to happen, but for right now, I don't want part of any of it. So her mom gives her like a makeover. She goes from brown to blonde. And, now it's time for the school year to start. And John Logan sees her. I don't know, maybe she'll talk to me. So then he does not stop, right? That's the one thing that Elle Kennedy kind of, put out there in these novels is that these, athletes, once they get something in their head, they are going after it full force, okay? So he's like, I'm gonna grovel. I'm gonna do whatever it takes, to win a date with you. And so she makes this like ridiculous list, okay, of things that he has to do. And he kind of has to like complete them. And the list is amazing, okay? Absolutely amazing. Now, one thing about John Logan is that he is quite possibly the opposite of Grace Ivors. His home life is just not good. It's not it, okay? And you really feel for him. Okay. And I know he kind of does this like self-fulfilling prophecy and he allows things to kind of go out of hand without really like discussing it with Grace or even just, allowing her to even help. But again, he just has a very tough home life, and I'm not going to go into that because I want you guys, in case you guys haven't read it, like I don't want to spoil it. But because he goes through such a tough time at home, it does actually make it hard for him to be able to properly have a relationship with Grace. Okay. So Grace's life on campus is she's working for the radio station, and that's um, a very important detail because something ends up happening with that. John does, like, he completes the list, they end up going out, they end up being together, something happens. Obviously, we got third act breakups all over the place. Um, and then he does the ultimate grovel at the end, and it's actually so beautiful. The only thing I wish was that it were longer. Okay, I just wish the story were longer, but El Kennedy really knew how to write this. And again, this is, sports romance, college, double POV, and it's like a second chance. Guys, the score. This book probably has the greatest range of storytelling. Okay. A lot of people find this one to be their favorite. A lot of people don't like it as much. This is a good one. Okay. The score. This is about Dean Hayward De Laurentiis, one of, Garrett's other best friends. He lives at the house with them. And it is Allie Hayes' book. She is Hannah Wells' best friend. Okay. So they are opposites as well. Okay. They are opposites in the way that Allie has only ever been into committed relationships. Dean has not. Allie is in this long-term relationship with this horrible guy. She has been dating him their entire time that they've been in college at Briar U, and they break up. Okay. And Allie kind of doesn't know how she's gonna get through this weekend because I believe John, Grace, Garrett, and Hannah are going on like couples, vacation together, and she didn't want a fifth wheel, so she stays home. But Hannah basically says to her, look, he's gonna come to your dorm, which he is. Just stay over at Garrett's. You can sleep in his bed. Just take your own pillow because his pillow sucks. The only people that are going to be home right now are going to be Dean and Tucker, who is the other roommate. And they'll look out for you. So all of them contact Dean and basically say to him, hey, Allie is in a vulnerable place. Do not take advantage of her. Okay. Do not try to flirt with her. Do not try to do anything with her. Okay. Keep it in your pants. Because Dean, what is happening when she opens the door to stay there that weekend? He's in the middle of a threesome, or at least about to become a threesome. And it's like a record being cut because she walks through that door and the mood is blown. Anyways, so they kind of spend the night together watching movies and kind of joking around. She's being all emotional. He's get over it. But anyways, he is very protective of her as well, even though he doesn't really believe in relationships and such. When he finds out that, she basically had to run away from her dorm because her ex was probably going to stalk her, he was look, I can take care of this for you if you want. Okay, I can unleash, John Logan, the beast, on him, and everything will be square. Like the hockey team has your back on this. But she's no, just take my phone. Don't let me call him or text him or whatever. So they end up getting drunk that night. They end up having an awesome time together. Okay, they end up sleeping together. She kind of regrets it a bit in the morning, but she says, okay, you know what? What's done is done. Don't tell Garrett, don't tell Hannah. We're leaving it at that. But then they kind of, Allie kind of goes along her day, goes along her days, and Dean cannot stop thinking about her. He's this has never happened to me. He goes, I hook up with plenty of girls and I only have a one hookup policy, no returning customers, but I want more. He's I can't believe it. Like, she's turning my head inside out, right? He can't like hook up with anybody else. He doesn't want to hook up with anybody else. He can't get it on. So he keeps kind of like messaging her and says like, hey, let's, let's be friends with benefits. So this book actually has a lot of spice in it because they have a more friends with benefit type of relationship, and they're keeping it a secret from all of their friends, which is like half the excitement for them because they're finding like very creative ways to like hook up. And so it's amazing. But shit does hit the fan when their relationship becomes a little bit more complicated, okay? Dean has a really awesome friend who is also a football player, Bo. And God bless Bo. Like, I can't say what happens about him in this novel, in this one, but let's just say that he is a beautiful character, and I wish we had more. That's all I'm gonna say about that because I'm not trying to spoil anything. But yeah, he was an amazing side character to this book, and I absolutely love and adore him. Like, he always has a place in my heart, okay? And Allie is actually, an actress. At least she's trying to be. And that's kind of how they sort of become friends. Like, she like wants to learn like a new language, so he sits there and he watches like a bad soap opera with her, and he's like, I shouldn't want this, but I do, right? So he's really just enjoying her like her company, right? So again, eventually at some point they end up actually doing the friends with benefit thing, and then Allie's ex, there's a special place down under for him because of the things that he has said to her. He gets very hurt when he finds out that she has a closer relationship with Dean, and he basically shames her for it. And it's actually like the first time not even the first time, every single time I read that passage, I get so angry, and I just wish like ill upon him, which is horrible. But he just like says these disgusting things to her that no person should ever happen to them. And it's just like, ugh, like the entire book kind of shows like the differences between Dean and her ex and how they handled certain situations. And even though Dean is kind of a mess, he still is able to handle a lot of the situations better, okay? And that is kind of when, like, once that situation happens, that is when it's known to everybody that they've been fooling around, and eventually they actually make it official after that, and, go about their day. But something does happen that kind of derails them again. Third act, breakups suck. And it's actually very dramatic and very serious, and that's all I'm going to go with that. I will say this, though, that Dean's kind of backstory, his like home life, yes, was great, but he does carry some trauma with him. Like, he grew up in a very wealthy family. He kind of has his life planned out for him. Like, he has beef with the new assisted coach that's supposed to be there for Briar. And, we learn more about their interactions and their relationship. And you really see Dean spiral. Okay, if there's any character who spirals, it's him. And it's almost childish, almost not, because when someone has the amount of like wealth and resources that he does, it's very typical. But he's never once flaunted his wealth in front of others. And, he does go through normal struggles that everybody else does too, right? Like, trauma can happen in any way, shape, or form to anybody. And unfortunately, he deals with a lot of it. And Allie has dealt with a lot of hers in the past too, but she just has a more sunny disposition about it. I think she had a better lock on it because it happened to her when she was younger. But nevertheless, she's moody, emotional, but she tells it to your face, okay? And she tells it to him. If you can't get your shit together, what are we doing here? Okay? It is a well-rounded story. There's just one plot that I did not want to happen. If you know, you know, because that story continues into the next one. And into the next one, we have the goal. Okay. This is its own story, but it does overlap a lot with the score. Tucker, our Texas guy, is the fourth and final roommate. And it's just him and his mama, okay? We don't know where his dad is. He's never mentioned. Um, so this book is about Tucker and Sabrina. This is interesting, okay, because Tucker, again, he's one of the roommates. He's one of the best friends. He's also a hockey player, but he has this like southern like charm to him that's like chef's kiss, okay? He sees this girl at a bar, Sabrina James. She's going to become a lawyer. She's like the most drop dead gorgeous, beautiful woman you've ever seen, okay? And she's a woman who's like, I don't want to be with a guy. Like, I don't need any commitments right now. If I have any needs, I'll just go to a bar, I'll pick somebody up. That is it, okay? Now, the kicker is that Sabrina and Dean have massive history together, okay? They hooked up once before, but she has this thing about like his wealth and his money, and she's actually quite salty about it because she doesn't have money, okay? She's living with like her grandmother, like her mom ran away, and her like stepdad is like involved with her grandmother. Like it's a weird situation, okay? She's utterly trying to get out of it. That's why she works so hard, okay? Love that for her. Love that she's motivated and determined to get into a better situation. But because of her like saltiness towards Dean, she kind of writes off Tucker from the beginning when she finds out that they're like best friends, okay? Now, Tucker, he doesn't care. He talks to her. He's actually very charming. And whatever happens, they actually end up like, hooking up that night in his truck. That scene, okay. They end up hooking up in his truck and results in an unexpected union, okay? The trope I don't really like. I don't really like the accidental pregnancy trope, but because it's Elle Kennedy and because it's a series that I absolutely love, I read it, okay? And, Sabrina kind of, like from what I remember, I think she kind of, ignores all the signs that like her period is late and that she's starting to feel ill. When like because she's just like so busy, right? Like she works multiple jobs, she's trying to save up enough money so that she can go to law school, and it's just she's go go go, right? And everybody loves her. She's got the grades, she's got the personality for it, everyone loves her. But she finally like kind of gives in to Tucker, because he keeps kind of saying like, oh, you know what, I really like you, you know I want to get to know you. And she's like, you know what, I'm not interested, right? But he kind of like persists about it. And he has actually a really nice conversation with Beau in this book, because Beau and Sabrina used to date, but they're like best friends now. So it's like all good. But they end up, finally getting together. And then that's when they find out that she's actually pregnant and they choose to keep the baby. They're like, we're going to have the baby, we'll be a family. But Tucker has liked her from the beginning, but Sabrina is just so traumatized by her past that she's finding it really hard to, move forward with Tucker. Okay. And that's the majority of this book, is a lot of back and forth, a lot of her, working, overworking, being pregnant, trying to figure out what to do. Right. And Tucker actually hasn't really discussed anything much with like any of his friends until like it's time, I guess, right? Because everybody always says like, oh, where's Tuck? Like, he's never really there. And that is because he's always with Sabrina because she lives far away. And so he's always like driving to her and trying to make sure everything is good for her. Now, Tucker's mom is, she's a wild one. Like she's a full wild card. Okay, she just wants the best for her son, and that's her only child. she doesn't necessarily like Sabrina and doesn't necessarily like the fact that they're having a child together and they're not like married or they're not, you know, fully a couple, right? But eventually that gets kind of solved and they do end up having like a better relationship going forward. We do get some cute scenes with Sabrina and some of the other girls and the rest of the guys. Um, and we can see how they've really started to kind of like take a liking to her and like bring her and like include her in everything. And we get a very awesome scene in in the goal where they start talking about like baby names and Garrett is like, well, this is the name that I would choose. And it happens to be the name of his daughter in the Next Generation series. So it's just kind of like a full circle moment and it's just amazing. We get the cutest niece ever, like the cutest little girl, you know, born in these books. So it's just, you know, amazing, right? So that is on the goal. And again, like I said, it's like dual POV. It is accidental pregnancy. There's again a lot more like heavier themes in this one too. Like I would definitely, that's hard to say. Every single one of these books have heavy themes in it because everybody has a different backstory. Everybody's going through something. But I would definitely say like the goal and the score have timelines that overlap and have storylines that overlap. So that is, you know, important, right? Now, okay, I know this video is running really long, but I have to just give a couple minutes on The Legacy. Okay, The Legacy is the fifth and final book of the off-campus series. Now, this is actually a novella of 4 different stories. So it has a story about, you know, Garrett and Hannah, Logan and Grace, Tuck and Sabrina, and then, you know, Dean and Allie. Okay, and this is taking place, I can't remember how many years into the future it is. I want to say it's like 4 years or something. It's basically life after college, right? So it starts off with Logan and Grace's story. And basically what happened here is that Logan is, I believe, on a farm team with Garrett's team. He's working hard, but he's realizing that his schedule and Grace's schedule just don't really align. She's still at school and she just like doesn't know like how things are going to move forward with them, right? So Garrett basically gives Logan some advice and says, hey, look, like it's not just tough for you, it was tough for Hannah and like it was tough for us as well, and it is still tough, but the only thing that you can do is when you're home, be present. Okay, you have to make the time. So Logan decides to you know, do this like romantic getaway, and I believe it is for New Year's. And so they go to this like B&B, they get stuck in their car on the snowstorm. They finally make it there, and guess what they do? They elope. And I knew that was gonna happen because they do talk about their plans to like getting married and that they most likely would elope because John's parents don't get along and it just wouldn't work. So they just eloped. Okay, so the next couple that we get into is Dean and Allie. Okay, so at this time, Tucker and Sabrina are planning their wedding. Okay, and at the same time, Dean is really, really loving his life with Allie. And he just wants to marry her, right? So he's thinking about proposing, okay? He's like, I've got the ring, I'm thinking it over. However, at Sabrina and Tucker's wedding, which happens during like their portion of the story, Allie kind of expresses not only to Dean during like the reception, but also to the girls during their like luncheon that even though she loves Dean and she loves their life, she's just not ready to get married right now, right? Like she would say yes, but she just doesn't feel like her life is on track to where the next step is marriage, okay? Whereas Dean is like, let's get married like tomorrow, like who cares, right? But she just feels like this immense pressure about like marriage and proposals. So Dean kind of, he hears about this, like they have a conversation about it at the reception, but he doesn't really like listen to her, right? And then he goes ahead, like, I don't know how many weeks later or whatever, he goes ahead and plans this beautiful, like a beautiful dinner for her. And he tries to propose, and she literally stops him mid-proposal and says, don't continue. Because she doesn't want to have to say no if he does actually get to ask her. That gets a little messy. Eventually they do kind of like work it out. Okay, so the third story in Legacy is actually Tucker and Sabrina's honeymoon. And it was very long. I'm gonna say, not my favorite part of the book. I'm sorry. I did not need like 12 chapters of their honeymoon. Sorry, that's an exaggeration. It probably wasn't that long, but a good majority of the book was actually on their honeymoon, and it just goes all like it's a shit show. Okay, it just isn't good. You know, they end up fighting. Like anything possibly bad could happen does happen. The only good thing that does happen in that is that they end up meeting a couple that is able to help Sabrina with like her job and like provide her with a better career within the legal world, that is. I mean, like they end up like, you know, offering her a job in a different state, I believe, and they really have to make the decision on whether or not they're going to move, right? And you know, a lot does happen for them, and I think it was nice because, you know, they did get pregnant right away when they weren't even they weren't even together. So I think there was a lot of stuff during their relationship that needed to be, you know, kind of like ironed out. And I guess the honeymoon was it for them to do it, but I mean, I guess it worked out for them, right? And then the final story is Garrett and Hannah's, and ooh, I love them. I don't like how they were portrayed in this novella. So basically what happens is Hannah finds out that she's pregnant, and she keeps it a secret from Garrett. Now, all the girls end up finding out because they're with her when she, you know, has like morning sickness or like she just feels sick. And they also end up finding out about, you know, Grace and Logan having eloped because they overhear them at Sabrina and Tuck's wedding, right? So all these secrets are kind of coming out at the wedding, but only the ladies know. Okay, none of the guys know. And so the girls are all telling Hannah, like, what are you waiting for? Please just tell Garrett, like, it's not that big of a deal. But Garrett has kind of been going through a rough time, like with his dad and like, you know, being a professional hockey player. And it just never seems like the right time for Hannah to tell him. But it ends up being really bad when she does tell him because she thinks something's wrong. And he freaks out. He says some things he shouldn't say. She says some things she shouldn't say. And it ends up being like a very tough time for them. And it was actually kind of hard to read, to be honest, because I felt like his character was just destroyed at the end. Like, I feel like his reaction was not appropriate for that interaction. And you know, he does make up for it in the end, which is just, it's beautiful, obviously. But, you know, it does suck though to like read a book and see that they just alter the characters differently a little bit, right? But again, that was on Briar U, and I know this is a very, very long video, so I apologize. I'm sorry, but I just have so much to say about these books and these characters, and I absolutely love them. And yeah, so that was on Off Campus, and I hope you guys did enjoy this video. And if you guys stuck around to the very end, please leave a comment down below. Tell me which one is your favorite, you know, off-campus book, which one is your favorite couple, what storylines did you love, what storylines did you hate, okay? And if you are going to comment, just, you know, make sure you write like spoiler alert somewhere, you know, in your comments if you are going to talk about like a story, like a plot, just in case other people haven't read it. And yeah, so like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll be back with another video, and I'll see you then. Bye.